Good morning, Wasteland. I mean Earth. Mr. G here, live from the mass test server, the one you guys can all jump onto. We are taking a look at all the buffs and nerfs coming your way in Crossout. Number one thing that makes me cry is you cannot side mount hovers anymore. I don't know, Tarjum, you thought we were having too much fun? You thought we'd just take that away? Well, I'm super sad. Alright, moving on. Hovers are getting the nerf. Acceleration for vehicles with hover when turning reduced by 25%, and the tonnage is dropped from 850 down to 750. So can we tell a difference turning? Definitely turns a little bit more sluggish than it did previously, which is unfortunate. Maybe they noticed when you had hovers mounted in front that you could turn around very quickly with hovers in front and back. Who knows? Alright, on to the rest of our buffs and nerfs, starting with cannons, which appear to be getting fairly decent buffs across the board. Let's take a look at the Avenger. What's going on with the Avenger? Well, it's getting a projectile impact impulse increased by 30%. If you're going, what is impulse? That's your cannon's ability to knock things over. Damage upon contact with parts buffed by 15%, and explosion radius buffed by 5%. So solid buffs all around for the Avenger. Next on our list we have the Judge, which is going to be seeing very similar buffs to the Avenger. Let's take a peek. It's going to get a damage bonus of 25%. That's pretty huge. And an explosion radius increased by 5%. So I feel like they're still trying to figure out how the new changed explosion mechanics are going to work with cannons, and they're trying to make sure that, you know, that they are still a viable weapon. But those feel like some pretty massive buffs, although they did about 200 damage. I mean, that's fairly decent, but not mind-blowing for the rarity of that particular weapon. Next up, the Foon. Everyone was complaining. They're like, the Typhoon's not meta anymore. It's garbage. It's been nerfed into the ground. Well, it looks like they've decided to be like, okay, well, we'll give you back some damage with the Typhoon. So what they've done is they've decided that they're going to increase the Typhoon's shrapnel damage by 7%. Damage upon projectile contact increased by 5%. And they've already kind of removed the perk, you know, it just slows down the reload now. But let's go ahead and at least take a peek at the damage numbers on this thing. We'll see what it's looking like. Alright, so you can see there's like the charge mechanic completely removed on it, but it did do about 350 damage. Significantly more than the Judge or the Avenger, obviously. And still some serious recoil. So you get a little bit of a damage buff to your Typhoon, although you still don't get your perk back. Is what it is. Yeah, it feels like it does solid damage there. Next up, the Wasp has a damage reduction. The Wasp has always been a really good weapon. So they're hitting it with the Nerf bat a little bit there, which is, you know, a bit of a bummer. Let's take a peek and see how that plays out. I mean, the thing with the Wasp is it has the durability of wet toilet paper. So someone sneezes at it, it's gone. So I don't know that it needed a shrapnel damage reduction, but they've just gone ahead and decided to hit that with 12%. I mean, that's still pretty solid damage, though, overall. I mean, more than either one of the first two cannons, the Avenger or the Judge. The Autocannon AC-50 Storm. Well, they still decided that an autocannon needed a nerf, which to me makes 0 sense because they're not OP weapons, in my opinion, at all. But I guess they were like, hey, let's nerf this a little bit. So they've gone ahead and they've nerfed the damage by 7%, and they've reduced the perk from 14 to 12%. Okay, so people were using these at range, I guess, and they were like, too much damage. Let me know in the comments how you feel about the autocannon changes. If you use them a great deal. I mean, 15 damage doesn't really feel like something that needs to get nerfed to me super hard. But they nerfed it a little bit, so there you can see those damage numbers there. Not a whole lot. The Whirlwind bonus from the perk is reduced from 35 to 30%. So the same thing with the Whirlwind. The Whirlwind got a little bit less of a nerf. It just got a perk nerf. I guess what we call that. So the perk here being, I think it's the same. Yeah, it's the same thing. It's a range perk. You know, the further away you are, the more damage it's gonna do. So they've gone ahead and took off 5% of the bonus, which you really think about it, 5 out of 35%, that's 1/7 of the perk took a hit there. I mean, I don't know why autocannons needed to get any kind of nerfs at all, because they're just not that powerful. And the Jewel is not going to be left alone either. The Jewel, which apparently I don't have on the test server. Nope. Also got just a flat damage reduction of 7%. Let's see, the next up is the Assembler. Let's go ahead and slap that on here. Boom. Get in there. Get. This feel like my old videos where I used to talk and build at the same time. Way back in the day. Durability reduced from 480 to 400, which is kind of a bummer since it's got a huge hitbox. They changed the perk. Now after full charge, the damage begins to grow to 170 points. 175 points. Previously 200 points within 2.5 seconds. If you don't shoot during this time, the charge is reset and the weapon heats up. So they've just done a... Yeah, they've done a nerf to the perk. I don't see how they've changed the perk. Let's go take a look and see how it plays out. I wonder if it counts strafing as an acceleration on turning. Strafing feels almost a little more sluggish, but it's hard to know. Let's see what happens if we overcharge. Well, we get a little time. Well, let's let it overcharge here. Let's get the overheat. Oh. You can still fire, but your weapon's overheated. Guess it takes some heat damage then that way. Interesting. Okay, that's kind of a cool effect. And the accuracy dials in. I love that. I love this. It's more accurate. It feels good to me. I don't know. I've always liked that weapon though. Okay, the Grenadier is getting a big old nerf bat. You're going, what? Drones get more nerfs? Yes. Yes, they do. Alright, temporary part it is. The Grenadier drone will be getting a speed reduction from 80 kilometers an hour to 70 kilometers an hour and a durability reduction of from 140 to 130. So not a huge durability reduction, but hitting the speed a little bit. So, I mean, it still can shoot infinite ammo without missing. There's that. But at least they have gone ahead and nerfed its durability and speed, although it's cruising around pretty fast. So pretty light-handed nerf on that one. The Annihilator is going to get a bigger durability reduction, 25%, down from 100 units to 75. So bigger nerf for the Annihilator as far as its durability, as well as fixed a bug where it can attack enemies that were cloaked. Yeah, bug. Working as intended, right, Tarjum? Okay, so there it is. Still pretty much doing the exact same thing. It just has less hit points. It's 25% less hit points. So solid nerf there. Next up, the blockchain. So they want to tell us some stuff about the blockchain. So let me go ahead and grab it, and then we will read through what they've got set up on blockchain today. Damage of each of the 8 shells increased by 130%. Why so much? See information about the perk below. Reloading time increased from 2 seconds to 3.5. They've changed the perk. Now the weapon partially ignores transparency of parts and deals more damage to the parts that can be penetrated. Ignoring part penetrability is reduced relative to the previous test. I think what this means is parts like gun mounts or grills, it ignores that pass-through of it and does extra damage to those parts. Like, for example, chassis has pass-through effect. Blockchain blows that right off. Just really pretty easy. Let's put a gun mount on here, I guess, and just see what we can see as far as how the damage affects, because it's one of the bigger pass-through parts. This is not wireframe gun mount can be shot through. So you notice that can be shot through. That is where we're talking about part transparency or damage transparency. So let's see how the blockchain does on that. Just real quick, give it a little testaroo and see if it just blows that gun mount right off. So some kind of, I think that some things get lost in translation sometimes, but yeah, you can see the pass-through effect did not save that. I mean, we might have done enough damage to blow it up anyway. Let's take a peek about just how it feels. The reload, pretty slow. You're going to want to run this with a Colossus or an Oppressor or something like that for sure. But we can assume that that's going to be a solidly playable weapon. Shotgun Spitfire. Ooh, it's going to have a massive range increase. So let's just take a peek at the Spitfire. It's getting its optimal range bumped from 20 to 50. So it can actually be used at mid-range right now. Let's go over to the course, give it a peek, and then we'll have a think about what we think about all these changes, guys. And thanks for watching. Just trying to keep you guys all up to date while we're in quarantine. So there's 50 meters. Can we do damage at 50 meters? Absolutely can. Where before it used to be optimal range was 20 meters. So you can see it did just about the same amount of damage there at those ranges. Next up, Fafnir just gets a durability boost from 273 to 300. No sense, you know, of actually shooting that because there's no actual weapon changes other than, hey, it's getting a little bit of a durability boost. So you can expect to see that. And wheels, all wheel changes announced in this news item are planned to be included in the update. What wheel changes are those? I'm seeing another link. Physical and visual model improvements for wheels. Hello there, everyone. In one way or another, let's take a look over at wheels. What have we done? So the small wheel, the radius of the physical wheel model was reduced by 5%. Okay, I don't even have any of those in here. Medium wheel, the radius of the model, so it's been shrunk by 5%. Okay, I don't know if you can see that. It's a little bit smaller. Maybe it's supposed to be. Studded wheel is getting a physical model reduced by 11%. So I think they're doing this in a way to make them actually better wheels. Let's undo this because they're going to be harder to hit. They're going to be smaller. However, we'll see how that plays out. It does look a little bit teensy. Guess we could leave the medium up there for comparison. Okay. What else are we going to be looking at today? So we're getting a lot of wheel shrinkage. Let's see. Chained wheel, the minimum distance between two such wheels was reduced by 1 pin. Was 5, now 4. So they're making it so you can stick them closer together. Unfortunately, it doesn't look like I have any chained I can grab right now. Racing wheel. So it's getting another 5% reduction in size. I mean, it's just a little bit bigger than the medium wheel at this point. The Stallion, the radius of the wheel model has been reduced by 18%. So the Stallion, unfortunately, due to the parameters of test accounts I cannot show you right now, has gotten hugely shrunk, 18%. Apparently, well, balloon tires I can't grab either. Large wheel, width reduced. So they're saying you can stick these closer together now by 1 pin. I'm assuming that means by 1 weld point closer. It is now 4 weld points apart. Previously it was 5. So they can be 1 weld point closer. Previously it would have been out here. Probably due to the size reduction. Okay. Shiv. Do we have any shivs we can grab, you guys? We're talking about shivs. All right, we got Shiv. All right, we got Shiv ST. All right, so what about the Shiv? 10% smaller. The minimum distance was 5, now it's 4, so the same thing with the... Looks like it only has a distance of 2 between each. That's silly, it must be reading the wrong one. Lunar 4, reduce the distance between the two. Array, reduce the distance between the two. APC wheels, reduced by 5%. Grab an APC wheel. How many of you guys are still watching just to see wheel sizes? Yeah. You know you've been playing Crossout. Too much win. All right, the same thing with twin wheels, getting a reduction in size. And then to talk about hovers, we already announced that we're working on those changes. Hovers can be mounted on all sides of the frames. Yeah, not now. So it looks like they did go ahead and decide to change their mind on that, which is disappointing. It was one of my favorite things about change. is what it is. Targem does what Targem does. Well, guys, this was me attempting to give you the rundown on those latest proposed changes that are on the mass test server. You can go to the Crossout website, find the link for that, go ahead and download that and try it out yourself. Just make sure to use a new folder. Don't copy over your personal stuff. Targem, if you're listening and you watch these videos, please let me mount hover to the front and the back. Alright guys, that's it. Like and subscribe for all things Crossout. Stay up to date out there. Stay strong, stay safe. Mr. G out. Nailed that jump.